Hello friends, welcome back to Laravel tutorial. In this video, we are going to discuss about Laravel Eloquent Concept. So Eloquent is an object relation mapper, or you can say ORM. Okay, so that is included by default within the Laravel framework. Actually, the main purpose of ORM is to managing database. You can create, insert, or you can select data easily without writing any raw queries. So let's see. I am going to show you how Eloquent is working. So here Laravel 11, it is the database, and I just going to create a table, and I want to fetch that data with the ORM. Okay, so let's go and let's create a model. PHP artisan make model. Let's say my model name is student, and I already discussed about the migration. So I am using migration to create the table structure. So let's enter, and it will actually create a student model and with a migration. So let's go, and if you go to the Visual Studio Code, you can see in the database section we are getting in the migration, this is the create students table. So this is the structure of our students table. Currently this is id and timestamps. I already discussed about the migrations concept, and if you check into the model sections, app models, you will get the student model. So these two files are created. Okay, so here all are class based. We are creating relations between the object. Okay, so here I just simply going to create two fields, like a table, and I just going to add a name. So data type is string type data, and here write name, and another column I want to add like a table, another string type of data, and here I just going to add email. Okay, so these two. Okay, so now if you just going to migrate these things, actually this will migrate and the new students table will add into my database. Along with that and table, there will be id, name, email, and another two column, that is the timestamps, that is you can say created at and updated at. And here we are going to use the allocate relations. So make sure you are using the InnoDB database engine, so that this will support the relations. Okay, so simply if you not provide anything, or if you are using your by default database not InnoDB, simply you can specify also your engine type, that is InnoDB. So simply write INNODB. This is a capital. Okay. Now let's migrate these things. So PHP artisan migrate. So it will migrate the table. Okay. So it's migrated. Now just refresh, and here you will get the students table, and this is the InnoDB. And let's go to the structure. So you will see name, email. This is the column I created, and by default Laravel provided this id, created and updated. So you know all the things. Okay, so now I just going to add some data, quick data. So I already created a seeder. So if you just go to the database seeder section, you will find the database seeder, and here I just included these things, and using the faker we will insert some data. I need some data to get or to test Eloquent. Okay, so how this Eloquent is working. Now this is the faker, and this is the seeder file. So you know how to run this. I already discussed in my previous video in the playlist. So playlist link are provided in the description sections, you can check. So I am going to seed the database PHP artisan db seed. So it will migrate some data. Okay, so seeding the database. Now just go here, you will get some data. You will get 10 records, as we are added here 10 records. Okay, so all are done. Now let's close these things. Now I want to fetch this data with the Eloquent query. Means we will not write any query. So let's create a student model. So PHP artisan make model and student control, sorry, make controller student controller. Okay, so it will create a student controller. So just go here and write student controller, and let's into the app http controller we'll get the student controller. Now I want to use this model to fetch the data. So let's create a functions. So public function, let's create student list. Okay, now just here we'll use the student. So we need to use this namespace here, means use app models student. Okay, so we are using the student model, so we need to define that we are using student model from the student controller. Okay, so let's create in this way student, and let's get the data. So simply you can write gets. Actually it will use like select star from students. Okay, now just take a variable that is the result variable, and let's return this data. So return result. Okay, now just go to the routes web.php, and here just include the student controller, so that from the route this can understand we are going to use the student controller. Use app http controller and the student controller. Great. Now I just going to create a route so that we can access from the browser. So we'll use the get route, and here write student list, and here write student controller class, and then the function name. So what's the function name? This is the method name is student list. Function method you can say whatever. Okay, so just go here and let's check whether data is appearing or not. Student list, and here you can see all the data we are getting. There's a 0 to 9, there's a 10 record we are getting. Okay, so this is the eloquent query. We don't need to write any SQL queries, right? So actually these are equivalent to select star from students. Now if I want to get some data, means id is 1, then how can I do this? So simply write where clause here, where id, sorry, id 1. So you will get this record, only record for 1. Okay, so in this way we can get access of these things. Actually this is the eloquent basic things. Now when you're going to create a applications, there may have multiple tables, means we need to create a relations between one or multiple tables. That time we need eloquent relations, so we'll discuss about that things next. So what is eloquent relations? Actually, let's say an example. Suppose we have some students into our applications. So there are students. We added some students in last video when we're going to discuss about the eloquents. So we have students. Suppose there may have phone number. Okay, and one student can have one phone number, but I don't want to add these things into here. I want to create a separate table for phones, and we will create a relations between the students table and the phone table. So how we can do this? Okay, so let's truncate that things. So here just truncate, and let's create from the start. Okay, now here we have students model, and here we have student model, and we already created these things. Okay, now I just going to create a phone model, and we will create a table so that we need a phone migrations. So just go to the command prompt. So write php artisan make model, and let's create a model name is phone, and I want the database tables also, so we need migration, so use -m. So let's enter. It will create two files, that is, one is app model phones, and inside the database migration create phones table. Okay, so let's go to the code, and here you can see there is phone model, and another is inside the database migration section we have the create phone tables migrations. Okay, so quick, just create a table and create a column here. So write table, and let's use a string type of data. So there may have plus or something space inside a phone number, so we actually use this type of string. Okay, so simply write phone. And another things, so if you go here, you can see this is the students table, and I want to relate a new table. I want to create a new table, so I need to store this id as a foreign key from that tables. Means we will create a phone table where there will have a student id. Okay, so that by that student id we can understand which phone number for which student. Okay, so let's create another column, table big integer, big integer, and here write this is student id. Okay, so this will be the foreign key, so by that student id we can understand. Okay, by that, so by that student id we can understand the relations. So here just write unsigned. Okay, and let's build the foreign key for student id. So simply write table, and here create a foreign. To create a foreign we need to write these things, foreign foreign, and the foreign key will be the student id. Then we will create the relations, so simply write references. So this will actually reference the ID from the students table. So right here on the table name, that is, which is a table name, this is the students table. Okay, so right here students, and we can use on delete cascading. Okay, so we'll use the cascading. Okay, so write cascade. So references foreign key. Okay, so this will create a student id as foreign key. So simply and to create a relations we need to set up the engine. We need to make sure our database engine is INODB. Okay, so simply make sure you are defining your database you are using this INODB database. Okay, so let's migrate php artisan migrate. So migration done. Now let's refresh. So we will get a new table, that is the phones table. Okay, so here the student id will be the foreign key for this primary id of student. Okay, so you can see the key icon, right? And if you check the relations view you can understand the relation is created automatically, not automatically actually. For this line, actually this line is created. You can understand how we can create. Now we need to make the relations object wise. Means using the orm we'll use the object. Okay, now just here inside the phone model, let's create a relations. So actually this is a one-to-one relations. So from the phone model we can say that public function student. Okay, so we are creating the relations. Means from the phone how we can get student. Means the student id is belongs to phone, means it's related to belongs to, means return this from the phone we will get the students, and this belongs to, and this is the one-to-one relations. So simply write belongs to, and we can define the student model. So simply write app models student. Okay, So this is the relations. And from the student table we will get the phone. Means how to define? So simply write public function phone, whatever you can write. I am just going to write these things. Actually we can understand by this method. That's when we're going to call the phone method from the student table, that means we'll get the phone record for the particular student. Okay, so that's the reason we are going to use. So simply write a return #1 means here for every student there may have only one phone number. Okay, so simply write #1 and here write app models phone. Okay, so the relation is done. Now I just going to add some records here. So here check students table is empty, phones table is empty. So let's add some data. So we are using the student controller. I already created in the last video. I think you can understand how to create the controller. So public function add student. So let's add some student first, and we will add some phone number along with that. Means when you're going to create a student, we will add a phone also. Okay, so how to do that? So let's create a dollar variable student and new phone. Sorry, new student. We are going to create a student, so just write. So simply write student, and we have a student name. So simply write name equal to John. Let's add some email. Student email equal to um, John at email.com. Actually this is the column name which I want to insert something. Name and email is needed. Okay, so I added that things, and let's save. Student save. But along with that I want to save the phone data also. Means here we can write here a dollar phone equal to new phone. Okay, so to access phone we need to use the phone model here also. So simply write phone. Okay, so that we can access this phone, and let's insert some phone data. So phone, and here write what is the column name? Actually the column name is phone. Okay, phone, and just add some random number. Okay, and if you just going to insert this phone number, then only phone will add. But how to create the relations, how to get the student id? So we already have defined the foreign key as a student id. So here I just going to add using the student object student, and here we just created the phone method. So let's call the phone method, and now I just going to save these things. What I will save, this object will save. Okay, so this object will create the phone data along with this student data. Okay, now just write here return a student added with phone. Okay, so let's try to insert. So just go into the routes, and let's call the route get, and here write insert student with phone. Okay, and simply write student controller. So here call class, and then add student phone data. Okay, so let's create a functions for that things, or you can write the add student here. Okay, so simply add student here, and let's call this thing and let's check whether it's working or not. So simply write insert student phone. So student added with a phone. Okay, so now let's check. So just go to the students. So here you can see the john at the email.com student is added. Now if you check the phones, yes, this student ID also is added with the phone, means this is the foreign key. So if you click on that things, you will go to the student's ID one, right? So these are the relations. Okay, so student is added. Now add another things. Let's change some data. So here write Rick, and here write Rick, and let's create some defined number. Okay, and let's refresh again, and it will insert another data, John and Rick and their phone number. Okay, so this is the one-to-one relations, means for every student we have data. But how to access that things, means how to get, if you want to get the student phone, how to face this. Okay, so for that reason we created the relations functions also. So using that function we can call. Okay, now first I am thinking I want to get the student by phone number, or phone ID actually. So simply write public function, and let's see, create get student by phone ID. I actually going to check using the phone number whatever we are getting or not, means whatever student are getting or not. Another functions get phone by student ID. So we'll see both things. Okay, get phone by student ID, get student by phone ID. So all we can do, so simply write ID. So here I will pass the student ID, and here I will pass the phone ID. Okay, so ID means that is the database ID. Okay, now here just write suppose here get phone by student ID. So let's create data, and here just calling the student, student student, and let's find for this ID. Okay, and we'll call the method. We are using this model, so we'll call this phone. Okay, now just to return data, return data. So let's see by student ID whether we can get the phone or not. So simply just copy, and let's use this as a route also, get phone by student ID. So simply just pass the ID, actually we need the ID. So now go into the browser, and let's see, suppose I want to pass the John ID, means based on this ID we need to fetch these things. Okay, so this is the student ID, so I want to get these things, so I am just passing one. So here you can see the phone number is 98784, which actually for John. So if you are going to fetch the Rick's ID, you can do. So here you can see the second ID is added. Now let's do the reverse thing. So based on phone ID, I want to fetch whether we are getting the student or not. Okay, so now just go here. So based on phone we'll get the student, so simply write data, and here we'll use the phone and find, and what we'll find actually, we'll find the student. Okay, and let's use the ID for the phone. Okay, now return data. Okay, so let's go to this link, and let's check. I am providing the phone ID 2, and let's see, this is the Rick's ID. Okay, so for Rick this the phone is handed. So if you go to the one, means I want to get the name which are using this phone, so you can see the John. Okay, another interesting thing I want to see, means we will not pass any ID, Actually, I want to get all the students with all the related phone data. So how we gonna do this? So simply write another functions, public function. Let's use the student details. Okay, we don't need to provide any id, so here simply we just going to get all the data. Okay, so simply write based on student we are fetching the data, so student and get. So if I just write here the return dollar student, you can understand. If you just return retu, sorry, spelling mistake, if you return these things, it will only get the student data. So let's check. Okay, so route get, and let's call the student details, student details, and here write student controller, and let's call the functions. So simply just go here and let's try. So we'll get all the students data here, so whatever in the students table we're getting, but I need the phone number along with this. So we have functions to fetch the phone, so simply use this phone. So I need this data with phone. You can understand how easily we can do this. So simply refresh. So we are getting the student data, along with this we are getting the phone data. We are getting the student data, along with this we are getting the phone data. Means you can understand how easily we can get all the data which I need. We don't need to write any single query, we don't need to think about their things. We just need to know, we just need to understand what is the relation between those tables. Means one student can have one phone number, so this will be hash one relations. Okay, so you can understand how easily we can do all the things. Means by student id we can get the phone, by phone id we can get the student, and if you want to get all the student with all the phone number related to that student we can get. Okay, so please, so hope we can understand, and please like and subscribe this channel for upcoming video. Next we are going to discuss about one to many relations, and in this video we are going to discuss about one to many relations. We are using Laravel Eloquent database. Suppose what is one to many relation? Suppose for single entry we have multiple records. Means suppose we have a students table. You can see there is a students table, and we have two records, right? So for a student John, right? If you take John, and John have three subjects. Means there will have a subject table, and here you can see the student table. So for single student we have multiple entry in subject table. So that is the relations, that is one to many. So already created the students table, let's create a subjects table, and let's try to implement one to many relations, how to get data and how to insert data and all the things, how to get subject from the student, or how to get a student from the subject. Okay, so both the things we will do. Okay, so let's create first a subject table. We don't have subject table right now. Let's going to create a model, php artisan make model. Let's take my model name is subject, and I want table, so we need migration. So let's enter. Sorry, there will be a space, php artisan make model subject minus m. So it will create one model and one migrations. Okay, so let's go here, and if you just go into the model section you will get a new table, that is subject table, and in the database section you will get the new migration, that is the create subject table. Okay, so let's create the subject table first. So here you can see one another things. This is the type. Means in the Laravel Element database we have per table we have a type. It is InnoDB, MyISM. Okay, actually, MyISM does not support relations. Make sure we are using the InnoDB database. Okay, so now let's create the migration. And by default, when I created my database, and by default I said it that my database name or database type will be the MyISM. That's the reason I need to mention when you're creating table, that is our table should be like InnoDB. Okay, so here we can define from the migrations also. So simply write table engine, and let's create, this will be the InnoDB database. So just mention these things. Now you all know that the table ID is basically will create the ID, that is the primary key, from the subject table, and the timestamps will create the two things, that is the created at and updated at. Now I am going to create another things. Let's say subject name, or you can say the table, the string, and let's make the column name, that is the subject. So in this column we'll store the subject name, and we are going to create one relation column. Mean I want to set the student ID here. So by that student ID we can understand for which student which subject is associated. Okay, so let's create a big integer, and let's mention the column name, that is the student ID, and also this will be the unsigned. Okay, now I don't need another things, but we need the relations. So here we can set the foreign key, the table foreign. So what will be the foreign key? Actually, the student ID will be the foreign key for this subject table. Okay, and here write references, which will reference the ID from the students table. Okay, so simply write ID, and let's add on, that is the students table, and you can add the on delete cascade. Okay, you can mention that. Okay, on delete cascade. So our migration is ready. Now let's migrate these things. So php artisan migrate, enter. So it's migrated subjects table. Now if you go and refresh, you can see a new table is created, that is a subject table. If you go to the structure, you can see the student ID, this is the foreign key, is created. And let's go to relation view, you can see the relation is perfectly created, right? So we have a students, we have a subjects. Okay, now let's add some data so that we can understand how we can create the one-to-many relations. So before that, we need to mention the relations. So here we don't need migration, just closing this. This is the subject model, and we are using the student model. So this model should have the relations so that we can get the things. So let's build the relation first. So here it is one to many relations, means for a single student there may have multiple subject. So let's create a function, public function. Let's create subject. You can write subjects, so basically it will actually fetch the multiple record, so you can write in this way. So let's use the return, and this time the relations will be the hash many. Okay, so previously when we created the relation 1 to 1, that time the relation was the hash 1. This time this will be the hash many. Let's add the subject and then define, this is the class. Okay, similar way, if you go to the subject table, you can create a function to fetch the student from the subject table. You can create this. So public function, let's call the subject, sorry, let's call the student. So here Actually, the subject belongs to student, so simply writes return this belongs to, and then you can write the model. Okay, so simply write student class. Okay, so these are the relation we created. Now simply add the student. Okay, so simply write new create new functions, and here we need to use the subject table, sorry, subject model, app models, sorry, models, and the model name is subject. Okay, so we can use that thing. So this is the student controller. From that controller we're going to create a functions. So here write public function add student. Okay, so let's add some student. So for to add student we'll use the student model. So simply write student, and let's say call the things that is the student. Actually we'll going to create a new object, so simply write new student, and just going to take this in a variable. There's a student variable, student new student, and here just insert some data. So in the model, in the table, we have a name and image. So just go to the editor, student name. Here you can write some name, that is Sunny, and let's add data, student for email. So you can write sunny@email.com, and then you can save. Okay, so student save, and finally return student added. Okay, so now just call these functions, and let's see the student are adding or not. And we already define or already using the student controller from the web.php, which is a route. So simply just write a new route get will access through the URL. So add student. Okay, now just going to use the student controller in this way, you know that, and then class, and let's use the method name. So here my method name is add student, so let's use, just go here, and you should enter a new student. Okay, so student added. Now refresh the student table. So the students are added. Already we have a 1 2 record, so this is the third record I added. Now I want to add some subjects for some student. Okay, so let's add some subject for John. So just go here, and here I will create dynamically. So write public function, and let's use add subject. We will specify subject, sorry, the student ID from the URL. So we'll take from that URL, and let's use the student model, student model, and then find the ID. Okay, and here I will took in this variable. So I will first find whatever the ID is present or not. If present, then only I will going to create a subject, new subject, JECT. Actually this is the model name. Okay, so this is the model. Actually this is a subject, and we are using this subject, and based on this model we'll add some data into the subject table. So simply write dollar subject, the subject. So actually this is the column name, subject column name, and let's write suppose math. Okay, and I want to add a math for particular ID, means I will provide the ID from the URL. So simply here write the student and then call the subject model, then call the student functions, and then we'll save. Okay, actually this student actually use for here has many relations. We are using the functions, and then we will save the subject. So when we going to save any subject, that time it will create a relations. Okay, so let's see, it will be more clear. Return subject edit. Okay, let's create a route again, and just write route get, and here write add subject by id. Okay, and let's use the student controller, then the method name is add subject. Okay, and here I will pass the id. We will receive this id from here. Now just go to this url, and here write I have to add some data for John. Okay, so John id is 1, so I'm passing 1 here. Call to undefined method app model students. So the student method is undefined. Why? Just go to the subject, and here you can see the student. Sorry, actually we need to use the student model. So students subject. Okay, so let's enter this subject added. So let's refresh here, there will be no effect, but in the subject table we'll get data for id 1. Okay, so let's add math for id 3 also, means for Sunny. So let's add, so it will add another data for 3 also. Okay, and I want to add some another data like physics for id 3 or id 1. Okay, so you can see there will be another record, means for id 1 we have 2 records, for id 3 we have 1 records. Let's add some data for id 2 also, so use 2, and let's do another thing, history, and here just insert another data for history. Okay, so now let's see the subject table. So for id 1, that is John, John have 3 subject, math, physics and history. And 3 Sunny, Sunny have only one subject, math, and Rick has only one subject, physics. Okay, so you can understand, for you can take example for John. For John there is 3 record, means for one data there is multiple record, means it is the one to many relations. Okay, so we added very simple things. Now the thing is, why we did all the things? Because in Laravel we don't need to write any SQL query, we don't need to write any raw query. Actually we have eloquent relations, and by that relations we can add or fetch data very easily. Let's get all the subject by student id. Okay, means I will pass the id for John, and I want to see what are the subjects associated with John. Okay, let's check. So simple, let's create another function, public function. Here write get all subject by student. Okay, so I will pass the student id, and here just use the dollar student equal to the student with subject. and then write find. Okay, dollar id, and finally return the things, return dollar student. Okay, so we'll get the student details also. Along with that, we'll get the subject. Okay, so just go here and let's create a route. Get subjects by student. Okay, and let's you write student, sorry, student controller class, and let's use the method which I actually created. Another thing, we need to pass the student id. Okay, so all are good. Now just use this id, sorry, url, and let's check. So I'm to get the data for one. Okay, so let's see what are the ones record and what are the related subjects. So here you can see we are getting the John, right? So the one id is for John, and we are getting the three things. There is the subject math, subject is the physics, and history. We are getting the three related subjects along with the John. So we can easily do the joining. This is the one to many join, actually means you can understand how easily we can get the data. If you want to get the subjects for Rick, so simply pass this id as a 2. You can see the Rick is using the physics, or Rick has associated the physics. There is on one subject. Okay, so this is the one to many relations and how we can easily get the data. Another thing, if you want to get all the subject by the subject id, sorry, all the student by subject id, we can do that things. So simply just do the reverse thing. So let's go and here create another functions. Just create another route. um so route get student by subject. Okay, get all student by subject. So this is the functions. Let's create the functions. So simply write public function, and this is the functions. And here we'll do the reverse thing, means easily we can do this. So here we'll use the subject. So subject, and we'll use the subject controller, sorry, subject model, and then we'll get the subject functions what actually created. There's a student, so let's use the with student, and then find the particular id. Okay, and simply just write return the subject. Okay, so you can do very easily. So simply the url is get student by subject. I want to see uh, I want to see which student is associated for the one. Okay, so just pass one, so you can get the data for one, that's the John. I want to see the which student are associated with id 2, so you can get the data for student also. So math using John, so here you can see these are 3, so 3 is sorry, this is the id 1, not id 1. Actually it should be the 2. So right here 2, so you can see this is the Sunny. Okay, so for 2 it's related to Sunny. 3, Great. Now another things, if you want to get all the student along with all the subject, you can do easily. So here just copy these functions and let's add these. So you can play. So get all student subject, all student with subject. We don't need to pass any ID and simply write get. We don't need to write anything and we don't need to pass any URL also. So simply just write here route get. Let's use the same things here also. So here write student controller class and the method name. This is the get all student with subject. So just go here and you can see the magic. The first John, the student ID is John and the related subjects. Okay, you can see the math, physics, history. Then the ID is to Rick, is a student, and related subject is physics. Then Sunny, and related subject is math. So in this way, if you want to get all the student with all the related subject, you can do this. So just use the proper relations. Mean in the student model, you should understand, you should know what is the relations between the subject. So from the student, you are creating the relations. So make sure that you are doing the proper relations and it will get all the data. We don't need to write a single query. And next day we are going to discuss about the many-to-many relations. In this video, we are going to discuss about Laravel many-to-many relations. These relations is not like as simple as one-to-one or one-to-many. These are the relations, the little bit complicated from the previous, but it's not too complicated. Actually, many-to-many relations means suppose there are two tables, both are related many to many. Means suppose you have a users table and you have some roles table. So some users may have multiple roles and multiple roles or single roles can be associated with multiple users. So that is the thing. This is the many to many relations. To create or to manage the many to many relations, basically we need one intermediate table where all the relations will take places. Means suppose a single table, that is the pivot table, means the intermediate table, there will have some users ID, some roles ID. Okay, these will actually as a intermediate table. Okay, so let's create and let's see how we can achieve these things. Suppose we are using the Laravel 11 database and we have a users table. Okay, and I want to create some roles table and another pivot table which will actually use as a relational table. Okay, so let's create some roles model and migrations. So just go here and create PHP artisan make model. First model we need a roles and we need a table also role minus m. So it will create a role model and migrations, and another we need a intermediate table that is the role user table. Okay, so simply write role user. Okay, and also I need the migrations. Okay, now just go into the Visual Studio Code and let's open some things. So actually we created this users table. Already we have a users table and we just create a role and the role user model. Another things we created the two migration, that is create roles table and created role users table. Okay, so I need two things or two tables to migrate first. So first we will migrate and make sure we are using the INODB database. Actually, if you check my database, some are my ISM, some are INODB. Actually, when you created the database, we using the my ISM. That's the reason by default it's created my ISM database. But for relations, we need InnoDB database. So let's change the database type for users manually. So go to the operations, and here you can specify the engine, that is the InnoDB. Okay, actually already we created that. That's the reason I am changing from the manually. So just to refresh, so you will see this is the InnoDB database. Okay, no problem. Now here I will create the migrations. So here I will specify the table, and this engine type will be the InnoDB. Okay, and for roles table, actually this will be treat as a master table. Means here I just create a table column, that is the table is string type, and here just create a column. The column name is suppose name. Okay, so this is actually the role name here will store. And let's create the intermediate table. So just here we'll also use the InnoDB, and here I will create the relations. So simply write table, and let's say use the big integer, and here write one is users ID, and make sure this is unsigned. Actually, I created a detailed migration tutorial when we created this playlist. Playlist link are provided in the comment section, in the description sections. So you can check from that also. Actually, I'm not specifying the detail in these migrations related things. Okay, so you can check. So now I just going to create the relations, that is the foreign key relations. So here for user ID, actually this will be come from the users table. Means it will reference the ID from the users table. So write ID, and let's use on, and here my table name is users. So you can check. So just go here, you can check the users table. Okay, no problem. And another thing, we can add the on delete cascading. This is a good practice. Same things we are not writing again. So we are creating another relations, that is the role ID, and this will actually relate to the roles table. Okay, now let's migrate. PHP artisan migrate. Let's enter. So it will create two tables. Big integer does not exist. Sorry, we did a mistake. Actually, the spelling was not proper. Integer, integer. Okay, let's migrate again. Already one is migrated. Let's migrate this another time. So it's migrated properly. Now let's go to and here and check the database. You can see the roles table and the role users table. Okay, so this is a role table. This will work as a master table. This is the users table. These are also the independent table. We'll treat as a master table. This is the relations table. So we only have the foreign key. So this role ID is references the ID from the role table, and this user ID is references the ID from the user table. Okay, actually this is the main table where we will get all the relations, and from here we can manage the relations. Okay, let's close the migrations now. We don't need migrations for now, and we need to concentrate about the model relations. Now here inside the user table, we want to fetch the roles. Okay, so what are the relations between the user and roles? So let's create relations functions, public functions. Suppose roles. This is the function's name, roles. This is the many to many relations. That's the reason I am using the plural form. Actually, it's not needed. but for proper naming conventions I am just using the roles. And the relation is belongs to many. This belongs to many. Okay, and let's call a role model. But another thing, we need to specify where the relation is situated, means where the relation is present. This is the table, that is the role users table. These are the maintaining relations. So simple, just mention the role users as a pivot table. Okay, and same way I just go to the role table and here just write users. Okay, so when we're going to fetch the users based on role, then you can write these things. Okay, so simply write user, also this is related to the role users. So relation part is ready. Now just go to the controller sections. You can see the app http controller, and let's get a controller for user. Okay, or you can write anything. It means simply let's get a controller php artisan make controller. Simply write user controller. Okay, just enter this, so it will create a new controller, that is user controller. So just go to the user controller sections, and here we just add some user, we just add some roles. Okay, so before adding user we need to use the user model, so simply use app models user. Also we need a role also, so let's define app model uh, role. Okay, we need actually these two things, so I just declaring for the beginning. And now here I just going to add some user, so public function, simply write add user. Now let's add using the user model. So create a variable user equal to new, going to create new object, new user, and here write user, and here we have a name. Suppose I just write sham, and let's add the email, and here write sham @email.com. And then what are the things we need to add, means in the user table. So here user table, yes, name, email, password, remember token, these are the null. Actually password is not null, so let's add some password. So user password. Okay, and password is not simple, actually the password should be encrypted format, so you can use the encryption. Actually I'm going to add the proper user, actually 12345 6, this will be the password. Okay, and let's use user save, so it will create some user. Okay, so return user added. Okay, in the same way let's add some role also, add role, and here write role, and for the role we have only name, so role and role, and here write role added. I want to add a multiple role at a time, so you can use the insert method also. So I'm going to use the different techniques so that we can add multiple role at the same time. So I just going to create roles, and here write roles. We are going to create array, and at a single time we can create multiple things as name, and here I just going to give the permission for list, and similarly copy these things multiple times. List, add, edit, and delete. So for now we have 4 roles. So simply just call the role model and call the insert method, and here just pass the roles. This will also insert all the things at a single trigger. Okay, now just go to the web.php. This is the route, and we'll call the things. Another thing we can do means when the role will add, based on role we can add user. Okay, so let's insert the role first. So simply just use the controller so that a route can understand which controller I'm going to use. That is the app http controllers, and name of the controller is user controller. Okay, so let's create a functions. Route get, you write add role or add roles. Okay, here write user controller class, and then the method name add role. Okay, let's hit this URL first. Now just go here and add roles. Role added, actually roles added should be the proper word. Okay, no problem. So roles, click on the browse, and here we can see at a single time we can get the 4 roles. Now I am going to add some data into the student, or sorry, into the users, and we will get the relations into the relations table. So how you can do this? Now just go here, and we know we have 1 2 3 4, there are roles. So simply just here, after adding the user, we can do one another thing. We can create a role array. Okay, and here just write, I'm going to give the permission for list, and then edit, and then delete. 1 3 4, actually this order is created. And now I just going to use the users. Then in the user model we have a functions, that is roles. So let's use this roles, and here I will just attach the role array. Okay, so here you can see the user added with role, means there will going to add a user, that is the same, and the permission also. So simply let's going to create another route and add user with role. Great, sorry, role, and now here add user. So let's hit this URL. So go here and click on add user, not add user, add user with role. This is the route. User added with role. Now let's go to the users table. New user is added. Yes, you can see the password is encrypted format, no problem. So user is added, and here you can see, if you go to the role user table, there is a pivot table. You can see their relations is added, means for user ID 1 1 3 4, this is the role table ID is added. Now I am going to add another user like Rocky, and here email ID, let's change Rocky, password is 12345 no problem. And here I just going to give the permission for a list and add. Okay, and let's refresh again. Another user should create, yes, and another relations should create for id2. Yes, the id2 is another created and the roles permission is created. Now the relation is created means for multiple user, sorry, you can see the for role id 1. So role id 1, there is user 1 and there is user id 2. So for single role, there are multiple users, and if you check another, so for here you can see for single user for one, there is multiple role are present. Means for one user, there is multiple roles. So you can see the many to many relations, and it's managing using the pivot table. There is a role users table. Great. So data insert part is done. Now the thing is, we did all the things, but here, if I want to fetch some role by user ID, how can I do this? So simple. Now easy. Public function get role by student. Okay. So let's pass the student. By user. Okay, so let's pass the user id here, and here we'll get the functions. So simply user, and here write user find, and here simply pass the id what actually we are going to fetch. Sorry, id. And let's, we have function in the user model. So here this is the rules. So here you can write in this way, that is the roles equal to user roles. Okay, or you can write in this way also, and you can write return dollar roles. Okay, now let's query URL route get, and what is the function name? The get role by user. So here write get role by user, and we'll pass the user id here, and let's define the method name. Before that, we need to use the controller name, then class, and then the get role. Sorry, get role by user is the method name. Okay, so let's call this URL. Here I want to get the roles for id1. So here you can see the id1 have a list permission, edit permission, and delete permission. So you can see, so for one we have this three record. So I want to fetch for the user 2. So she have or he have the list and add permission. Okay, so you can get the roles based on user, and similarly you can do the reverse thing also. So if you want to get the user by role, you can do that. Okay, and here write get user by role, and just copy all the things, and let's use these functions. And here we need the role model, sorry, the role model, and you can write role, and here simply write role, and this will be the user, and just go to the role model, and this is the users functions. So simply write users, and finally return the user. Okay, so just go to this link, and here I want to see who have least permission, means one. Okay, so just use the one, and here you can see the Sam have a least permission, Rocky have a least permission. So I want to see who have a delete permission. So if you just see, so only one have a delete permission. This is for one. So let's see whether we are getting proper data or not. So for yes, only Sam have the delete permissions. So you can see from this relations table. Okay. So in this way we can do both the things. But this is not the end. I want to get all the user with the related roles. How can do this? Yes, we have another important things we will use very much. So simply create public function get all user with role. Okay, we don't need to pass anything. So simply first get all user. So based on user we will get so dollar user and get. So here we'll get all the user. So I want to get the roles also. So simply just use the roles. Okay, so just mention the roles means I have to get all the user with the roles. Okay, so you can understand how easy. Okay, so if you don't have any problem or if you have got any confusion, you can comment. And if you understand these things, please like it's understanding. Okay, so it will give me more confidence or it will feel lot. Okay, so now just go here and let's call the another route get all user with role. Okay, and user controller, then class, and what the method's name. So here the method get all user with role. So this is the method. Now we don't need to pass anything, so just go here and you can see the magic. Okay, so Sam have multiple roles. The role first of all list, we have edit permissions, delete permissions. So Sam have three permissions. If you just go to the Rocky, so Rocky have a list permissions and add permissions. So you can understand how easily we can get all the things. So I just closing this. You can understand the single array for Sam, another array for Rocky. Okay, so we have two users. That's reason we have two records, and each for each user we are getting the array. Okay, so inside the array you can understand there are four records or whatever. Means for roles, three type of roles are there for one. So you can see the 1 3 and 4. 1 3 and 4 means list, edit and delete. So you can see the list, then edit and then delete. So we'll get all the things. Okay, so hope you can understand. So still if you have any queries about this video, please comment me below comment section. So next day I will try to clear more. Okay, and there are small things we left in the relations, and I will discuss about that things. Actually these are the small tricks we left, and we'll create separate video for that things. So hope you can understand all the eloquent relations concept from the very beginning to many relations, and hope we'll see in our next video. Thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe this channel for upcoming video. Bye.